Hare Krishna. Welcome to our evening katha. We hope you're all keeping well and increasing your Krishna consciousness in this unprecedented time. Today we're going to take you to Bhandirvan, one of the 12 forests of Braj, very beautiful place. And it's a very sweet place. So always when we go to Bhandirvan, first thing we do is chant a very beautiful Brijbhasya song. That's the national anthem of Braj. So it's not written down anywhere. You just have to follow. Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Govinda Govinda gaoge Prema Padarata paoge Govinda Govinda gaoge Prema Padarata paoge Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Rama Nama Barambar Chakra Sudarshana He Rakavar Rama Nama Barambar Chakra Sudarshana He Rakavar Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Kunda Kunda me charnamritale Apana jivana safala kare Kunda Kunda me charnamritale Apana jivana safala kare Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Sri Vrindavana Dham Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam. So welcome to our evening katha again. We hope you're all well. We thank you for your prayers for our temple president of Juhu Mandir, Rasbihari Mandir, Brajahari, he's in the hospital, so please give your prayers for him. And we have a special thing to announce that Arjun worked very, very hard. Somehow between doing all these things and all the other duties that he had, he worked day and night. He made a very beautiful video for Vrindavan Temple called Feed the Poor, Hungry, Feed the Hungry. In fact, it's the if you go to Nandavats today, it's the featured video. Very professionally done, very, very nice thing, because we're feeding so many Brijbasis and trying to maintain the temple, so you please see if you can help out. So today we're going to Bhandirvan. Bhandirvan is one of the smaller forests of Braj, but a very beautiful place, very natural forest is there. And if you add up all the men, women and children of Bhandirvan, you get maybe 50 people. Men, women and children all together. So if you want to feed a whole village in Braj, after lockdown of course, it costs about maybe $150. A whole village of Braj you can feed prasadam. So usually we get here and we sit down and have breakfast, and we've called ahead of time, and the Brijbasis have arranged nice chach. You know chach? After you, in Braj, we don't take scrape off the cream and turn that into butter. We take the whole milk, make it into yogurt, and then turn the yogurt into butter. What's left over is called buttermilk, chach. So they make nice chach for us. They put some black salt, they take some jeera and toast it, and then they go like this and make all the powder into the chach, and they make nice thick Brijbasi rotis right on the spot. So after we've had our nice breakfast, then we move on to Radha Bandir Bihari. There's a very beautiful temple here, small temple. There's a beautiful carved stone archway that was donated by the devotees of Radhanath Swami and the devotees from Chopati temple. Because it wasn't a very nice place. One devotee from Chicago, Darpaha Prabhu, he's actually from Russia. He donated the iron gates of the temple. Then other people have fixed up now. There's nice marble on the floors. It used to be dirt floor, marble on the floors. There used to be no dome on top, but my Punjabi godbrother from London, Manu, he donated the dome and fixed up the whole darshan area. And we see very exquisite deities of Radha Bandir Bihari. And Krishna is in a very interesting pose. Sometimes if the right pujari is there, we can get him to lift up the skirt of the deities, and we see Krishna standing on his tiptoes. And instead of holding a flute, like usually we see in temples, Krishna is standing on his tiptoes, his left hand is raised above Radharani's head, and he's putting sindoor in Radharani's part, because this is the place where Radha and Krishna were married. We're going to hear about that in a while. On the way here, and there's a beautiful diorama in the Prikrama Marg, the gopis one time, they were upset that Krishna was late for the rasa dance. And he said, well, I had to serve my guru. And all the gopis said, Are? Bande Krishna Jagad Gurum, you're the guru of everyone? He said, no, I also have my guru. Durvasa Rishi is my guru. And where does he stay? On the other side of the Jamuna. In fact, just when we're coming across the bridge, if we look downstream a little bit, I guess it's upstream, we see a big bunch of trees. That's Durvasa Rishi's ashram. So all the gopis were very anxious to see Krishna's guru, and they wanted to cook for him, so they got all their milk products together. But how are we going to get across the Jamuna? Krishna told me, just tell them something true. Like what, for instance? He said, we're coming from Nandagam, where Krishna is always remaining as a Drida brahmachari, very strict brahmachari. And all the gopis laughed, and they took their milk products, they got to the Jamuna, said, we're coming from Nandagam, where Krishna is always remaining as a very strict brahmachari. And Jamuna became ankle deep, and all the gopis laughed, and they walked across, and they came to Durvasa Rishi, and they cooked a big feast for him. And Durvasa Rishi, with one bite, he swallowed the entire feast. And they asked him, how do we get it back across the Jamuna? He said, tell him you're coming from Durvasa Rishi's ashram, where he only drinks juice of durva grass. That's how he got his name, Durvasa Rishi. He only drinks the rest of durva grass. You know, this grass that we use for puja. He makes juice from that. He only ate that and nothing else. And all the gopis looked at each other, and they went to the Jamuna. He said, we're coming from this beautiful diorama, all the gopis feeding Durvasa Rishi there. And they told the Jamuna, we're coming from Durvasa Rishi's ashram, where he only drinks juice of durva grass. And Jamuna became ankle deep. They ran across the river, and they looked at each other and said, Ek Tagat Guru, Ek Tagat Chela, Dono ke beech mein tagni. Jaise Guru, Waise Chela, Jaise Tagni. The one clever fellow is this Guru, one clever fellow is his disciple, and in between there's a cleverini. And just like the Guru, just like the Chela, just like this cleverini. So then we come out from the temple, and in front of us we see a big well. This is known as Venukup. Now you've all heard of Andakup, the blind well of Grihastha life. So this is Venukup. What happened was Krishna one time killed Vatsasura, which wasn't far from here. That's a little ways up the road in Bhandirvan. So after he killed Vatsasura, Vats, you may know, means calf. So all the gopis were very upset. How we can be associated with such a person as you? You've done a big sin. You've killed a calf. What do I have to do? You have to take bath in all the 7 seas. And so Krishna took his venu, his flute, and he dug a beautiful well. And he called all the 7 seas into that well, and he took his bath. So we see it's a huge well, very, very deep there. And there's a big mela every Somavati Amavasya. When Amavasya, which means new moon, in other words, no moon, when that comes on Sombar, Monday, it's called Somavati Amavasya. So there's a big mela in Bhandirvan. And especially the Brishbasis and local people believe that if there's any woman who's barren, who can't get a child, if she will take bath on that day, she'll definitely get child. But you have to come early in the morning. Because all night long the Brishbasis, they're singing their Brishbasi bhajans all night long. Early in the morning, about 4 o'clock, you'll see the milk comes in the well. When you come there with me on Prikrama, we'll see the water is completely clear. But I've been there on Somavati Amavasya day, it's all milky, whitish. And there's right beside the well, there's 2 little U-shaped brick walls. That's where the ladies, they go inside there privately, and everybody just pours water over them. They come with a new sari. So you'll see 2 big Govardhan hills of saris standing there. They take their bath, then they put on a new sari, and then on the temple nearby they put a little Gobar swastika, and they give dakshina to the Brahmins there. And I know many people who have gotten babies this way. Of course, this is a material benefit. We're not so interested in that. But anyways, this spiritual water made by Krishna's flute, so it's a very special place. But I know many girls who couldn't get the service of raising a nice Vaishnava, and now they have nice Vaishnavas. I know one lady, she took her bath there, now she has her own private Gurukul. So this is, and recently the government put a nice roof over the place, and some pujari will come, he'll draw out some water and sprinkle us all with this water. So if maybe from the last Ambavasya some of that water is left, now all the girls are going to get babies. So then in front of Venukup well, we find Dauji Mandir. Why is Dauji here? Because one time, it was summertime, just like now. We're inside now because it's almost 40 degrees outside, well over 100. So they were playing all different types of games. They decorated themselves with leaves and flowers and branches, and sometimes playing leapfrog, sometimes hide and seek, so many different games. And although Acharyas explained that although the summer season is not very welcome, when Krishna was there, the summer season was very pleasant. Beautiful cool breeze was blowing up the Jamuna, because Jamuna is not far away from Bhandirvan, carrying the pollen of lotus flowers and lilies in the air and their scent. The peacocks are crying, meow, meow. The kokilas are singing. Very beautiful atmosphere, and all the boys are playing sometimes blind man's bluff, all different types of games. So one summer day, all the boys were there, and one boy didn't come. His mother kept him home for some reason. So one demon named Pralamba, he took the form of that cowherd boy. And so the boys agreed between Krishna and Balaram to divide up into two groups. So the demon was thinking, I better not fight with Krishna. I better be on his side. So he came on Krishna's side. And the game was that whoever loses has to carry the other group on their shoulders. So Krishna's group lost. So then Sridham, he was carrying Krishna on his shoulders, and Pralamba, he picked up Balaram. And they began running around like that, all the cowherd boys having a good time dancing on the shoulders of the other cowherd boy. But that Pralambasura, he began to go very far away. And Balaram was wondering, why is he going so far away? Then suddenly he began to change into a huge form. And it's described that Balaram was frightened for a minute. What's going on here? And Sanatana Goswami explains that actually he was just keeping the mood. He's not frightened at all. He and Krishna had already noticed this demon in their midst. But just to keep the mood of the pastime. Or maybe he was thinking that he was Krishna's friend, he's going to have to kill because he was on Krishna's side. Sanatana Goswami says this, just to keep the mood of the pastime, he looked a little frightened. Then he became as heavy as Mount Meru. And that demon was huge, like a cloud with lightning. All his golden ornaments like the lightning shining in the cloud. And he carried Balaram far away and he was going to finish off Balaram. And Balaram just swung his fist around and pow! He smashed that demon in the head. His mouth broke open. He vomited blood and he fell to the ground. And all the cowherd boys were very happy. They all shouted, Sadhu, Sadhu, well done, well done. So this is the forest where this pastime happened. Another pastime that happened here is the Mallayud. Malla means wrestler. So Krishna and his friends used to play wrestling here. So one day Radharani and Lalita Visakha and all the Sakhis, they came there to see the wrestling. And Krishna was bragging how nobody can beat him. And the gopis said, all right, we have a wrestler who can beat you any day. And they took Radharani and they pulled her sari in between her legs. Just like if you go to Bombay, you always see the Marathi ladies with their saris pulled between their legs and tucked into the back like a dhoti. They pulled it up like that. They pulled up her sleeves. They tightened her belt. And then Radharani and Krishna squared off and they began their wrestling. But this was not ordinary wrestling. Even Kandarpa, the god of love, came to watch the wrestling of Radha and Krishna. Actually, they were wrestling each other with love, love-giving love, to increase love. This is the most unimaginable wrestling match, where everybody was giving love to increase love. And even Kandarpa came to watch the wonderful wrestling match of Radha and Krishna. So outside of Balaram temple, we find this huge tree called Bhandirvan. But of course we know means banyan tree. And this banyan tree used to be so big that the branches used to go all the way across the Jamuna. And the cowherd boys, they would shimmy up the roots on one side of the Jamuna, then run across that branch, and then slide down on the other side. But now it's Kali Yuga, it's shrank, but it's a huge banyan tree. This is the special Bhandirvan tree. used to have a broken platform, but the disciples of Narayana Maharaj have made a nice Paka platform there and the little shrine of Radha and Krishna, and the government put a nice shade over the whole thing, so we're saved from that, because many birds live in banyan trees. They're very special for birds to stay, so we don't get the Mahaprasad of the birds on us. And very special pastime of Bhandirvan took place here. And the best rendition of this pastime I've heard was in Shivaram Swami's book, Vrindavan Krishna, in the chapter called Venu Geet. Because in their chapter, Krishna is compared to a cloud. So he starts out the narration that it was a cloudy day in Braj. It was overcast. And the sun was setting without getting darshan of Krishna. And the king of the clouds, he became worried if the sun goes down without seeing Krishna, maybe he'll become so depressed he won't rise up in the morning. If he doesn't get darshan of Krishna, just like all of us, we've lost one near and dear one before, and we don't want to wake up in the morning, and we just hope it's a dream and we'll wake up and it'll all be over. We don't want to wake up to come out of the dream. So he began to recount a story of a pastime he'd seen happen there recently. First he began to describe the wonderful love of Nanda Baba for Krishna, because we're on the opposite side now. We're on the Gokul side of the Jamuna, and every day Nanda Baba goes to herd the cows, and he takes 2 steps and he comes back because he can't bear to see Krishna outside of his sight. So he puts Krishna on his shoulder and takes him out to herd the cows. Hearing about the amazing love of Nanda Baba for Nanda Lala, all the clouds began to shoot lightning bolts and thunder. And just at that moment, the clouds parted a little bit, little golden ray of sunshine came through, fell on Krishna's form, and then the sun set, getting his darshan of Krishna. So Nanda Baba, just to relish Vatsalya Ras to its fullest extent, he is taking Krishna on his shoulders, and they're going through the forest, and he's showing all the wonders of the forest to Krishna. Who is he showing all the wonders of the forest to? That person who created all the wonders of the forest. But Nanda Baba just thinks of his little son, and he's just relishing Vatsalya Ras. Oh Lala, look, there's a deer. Oh Lala, look, there's a chipmunk running along the branch of the tree. Oh Lala, look, there's a crow. Then Lala, he also began to ask questions. Oh Baba, what's this tree what's got a beard? What's this tree what's got a beard, Baba? Baba? Ye khan ki peher jiski dari hai, Baba? And Nanda Maharaj looked and he saw a banyan tree. Now you've all seen banyan trees. They have roots hanging down just like beard. Nanda Baba said, Lala, this is banyan tree. And then, oh Baba, what's this tree what's leaf has got a tail? Baba? What's this tree what's leaf has got a tail, Baba? No. Ye kain ki peher jiski patti ki punche, Baba? Nanda Maharaj looked and said, oh Lala, this is people tree. Just like those who've been to Vrindavan, you've seen right in front of Prabhupada's Samadhi, huge people trees there. And the leaf is shaped just like a heart and comes down to a little punch tail. And people trees are very special. Because ordinarily trees give off oxygen in the daytime and carbon dioxide in the nighttime. But people trees and banyan trees give off 24/7, they give off oxygen. They're very special for the environment. And then Nanda Baba said, oh Lala, there's a kadamba tree. And we heard before, the kadamba is beautiful golden color like Srimati Radharani. It's just a representative of Srimati Radharani. Oh Lala, there's a tamal tree. And we heard tamals are blackish and crooked. They're the representative of Krishna. And just in front of where we're sitting, there's a tamal and a kadamba tree growing together. If you see a tamal tree and a kadamba tree growing together, it's just like getting sakshat darshan of Radha and Krishna. Then Lala heard some sound. Oh Baba, what's that sound? Nanda Baba listened. It was the calling of the peacocks. And Nanda Baba said, oh Lala, that's the peacock. And the peacock is calling, Ke Ka, Ke Ka. Ke Radha, Ka Krishna. But Srila Rupa Goswami explains there's a deeper meaning. Because in Bengali, Ke means who. Just like we remember when Lord Chaitanya met Sanatana Goswami in Kashi, and Dasaswamedh Ghat, then he asked, Ke ame, who am I? So everyone thinks I'm a learned scholar, but I don't know Ke ame, who am I? And why this treetop, these threefold miseries are bothering me. So what is the question? It says, who? Ke? Who is there who can possibly reciprocate with the great ocean of rasa that is Rasara Sri Krishna? And the answer is coming, Ka. It is only she, Sri Radha, with her ocean of Mahabhav. She can reciprocate with that Rasara Sri Krishna. And we know when the Rasaras and the Mahabhav join together, that is Sriman Mahaprabhu. Suddenly, Nanda Baba saw that there was a big line of clouds across the horizon. Now it's a hot season, and we've seen this, especially last month in April. We were walking on the guest house roof, suddenly we saw a big line of clouds, and we could see lightning, but we couldn't hear the thunder. So Nanda Baba knew the rain is coming. And he became worried, because if the rain comes, then Lala will get sick. Then if he gets cold, he might get corona and die. And otherwise, if I take him home, then the lightning and thunder will come and scare all the cows, and they'll run hither and thither. It will take days to gather them up together. He didn't know what to do, because now we can't hear the thunder, but it's coming. And just now, a cool breeze is starting to blow. Before the rain even comes, it's so hot, but suddenly the rain cloud is coming. Even before it comes, this cool breeze begins to blow. In Madhurya Kadambini, which I've translated, Rupa Goswami describes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Mahaprabhu's mercy is like that. That even before you get Mahaprabhu's, you just get close to Mahaprabhu's mercy, it puts out the burning fire of material existence. He has a beautiful verse like that. So just while Nanda Baba was confused what to do, at that time in Raval, not far from Gokul, is a place called Raval, Radharani was as a little infant, but mystically she took the form of a beautiful forest goddess, Vandevi. And she began walking toward Nanda Baba. Suddenly Nanda Baba saw the whole forest is bathed with a golden luster. As he looked, he saw the source of that golden luster was a golden Vandevi, forest goddess. He bowed before that Devi. Oh Devi, oh energy of Vishnu, pranam. Oh Devi, please do one favor. Now the rain is coming. My Lala may get wet and get sick. You please take him home to his mother while I gather up the cows who will be frightened by the thunder and lightning. She said, Tatastu. And she took that little Lala from Nanda Baba's arms and just held him close to her breast and bowed over to Nanda Baba and began walking back towards Gokul. As she was walking back toward Gokul, she wandered underneath this huge Bhandirvan tree where we're sitting right now. As soon as she stood underneath that tree, suddenly Krishna slipped out of his arms and became a beautiful Kishore, 16-year-old boy. Now for us, to go from baby to 16 years takes a lot of time. But we're not talking about ordinary boy and girl. We're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and His own Ladini Shakti Sri Radha. They can take forms as they like. So underneath this banyan tree, this beautiful Kishori was there. And suddenly beautiful water pots sitting on unhusked rice with 5 mango leaves and coconut above. And beautiful canopies, embroidered canopies appeared underneath the banyan tree. And laces of pearls and flags of different pastel colors with silver and gold trim appeared everywhere, and a wondrous Yagya Kund appeared. At that moment, Lord Brahma was passing by, as we heard yesterday. That's why we're coming to Bhandirvan today, because yesterday we heard that in Suneragaon he did penance and austerity to be able to give Radharani away in marriage to Krishna. So Lord Brahma was coming from Pushkar, where he performed a big yagya. He looked down under the tree, he saw this beautiful Kishori. So then he came down, he bowed down before the divine couple. At that moment, all the demigods also appeared. All the Gandharvas were singing. The Kinnaras were playing musical instruments. The Apsaras were trained up by Indraduna Maharaj. They were dancing very beautifully. And everyone came. It was a very big festival. And suddenly the Astasakis also appeared in their Kishori roops. And they carried extraordinarily beautiful flower garlands. And they gave one of those flower garlands to Sri Radha. And she took that flower garland, they took her by the arm, and they took her to circumambulate Lord Krishna. And then she, looking very, just glancing up, not seeing straight at his face, but glancing up, she very shyly put that garland on Krishna's neck. Then they gave another garland to Krishna, and Krishna very carefully put that garland on Radha's neck. Then Lord Brahma brought them to the yajna stall. And while he chanted very wondrous mantras for Vivaha Yajna, Krishna was pouring the ghee, and Radharani very gently was throwing grains into the fire. Then in the middle, he had Radha and Krishna stand, and they performed some other rituals. And then he had the gopis take the end of Krishna's chadar and the end of Radharani's veil, and putting auspicious items inside, they tied a knot. Then they had Krishna and Radha change sides. Now Radharani came on the left side, because left side is the place for the wife. And they sat down, and then Lord Brahma presented a golden ring to Lord Krishna. With that golden ring, he took kumkum, just like the rising sun, beautiful reddish color like the rising sun, and he put it in Radharani's part, and put a beautiful bindu on her forehead. In this way, all the demigods, all the ladies began to do ulu dwani. Very auspicious. Then Lord Brahma performed the Purnahuti. Then taking rice powder as white as ground pearls, pearl dust, he made 7 rings coming from the corner of the Yajna Kund, 7 circles. And he told Radharani and Krishna to put their right hands in each other's hand. Then he told Radha, you place your left hand on Krishna Chandra's chest. And very shyly she placed her hand, just glancing at the lotus face of her beloved. And he had Krishna Chandra put his left hand on Radharani's back. And he instructed Radharani that you step with your right foot first into the center of each circle, and then bring your left foot up without crossing the circle. And he instructed Lord Krishna to lead her through the circles. And Lord Brahma began to chant wonderful mantras, one for health, one for wealth, one for religion, one for cows, like this, 7 different beautiful mantras. They took these 7 steps together. Once these 7 steps were completed, this is called Saptapadi. Then according to Hindu law, the couple is now properly husband and wife. Because it's believed that they will take these 7 steps together, then they will walk together for the rest of their lives. Then Lord Brahma, very pleased, he bowed down before the divine couple, this Kishori. With all his 4 heads, he placed his heads on the lotus feet of the Lord. And he was just admiring this handsome couple. And he didn't want to leave, but impressed by Yogamaya, influenced by Yogamaya, he got on a swan airplane and left. All the demigods also influenced by Yogamaya, they also left. And Radha and Krishna were alone. And Radharani, who's been cooking since the beginning of time and never made the same preparation twice, she cooked a wonderful feast. And with her own lotus fingers, she fed that feast to Sri Krishna. Then she honored Krishna's remnants. Then after washing their hands and mouths, then they began to wander through the forest. And Krishna was showing all the wonders now to Sri Radha. Suddenly they began playing hide and seek. Krishna ran and he hid behind a tree. And Radharani came running and she looked behind the tree. No one was there. And Krishna from behind. Then Radharani, she ran and hid behind a tree, and she's walking. If Krishna's watching, peeking if Krishna is coming, he's coming. And suddenly from behind her, Krishna came from behind. In this way, sharing their mutual love with one another, they wandered through the Bhandirvan forest. Suddenly they came to a place where the sand was open space, where the sand was like jewels, just like a dancing dice. And Radha and Krishna began to dance. And their ankle bells and their bracelets were making such an incredible rhythm that even Lord Shiva, who was watching from the clouds, he's Nataraj, the king of dance, even he couldn't understand the rhythm. Ching ching a ching a ching a ching a ching a ching, ching ching a ching a ching a ching a ching a ching, ching ching a 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 ching. And all the animals of the forest stopped to watch the dancing of Radha and Krishna. And they were whirling and twirling and whirling and twirling. Even the peacocks folded up their tails and came to watch the dancing of Radha and Krishna. And the thunder was, their ankle bells and bracelets were like the kartals, and the thunder was like the mridanga drum. And they were dancing so beautifully. Now those of you who've been in India for any time, you see whenever there's some performance, then the audience comes and they take some money and they twirl it around the head of the performers, no chavar. But the peacock, he's just an ordinary animal of the forest, simple animal of the forest. He doesn't have any money. So he took one of his feathers and handed it to Krishna, simple feather. But Krishna received it as if it was something very valuable. And he placed it on the crown on his head. And then they danced and danced, and finally they stopped their dancing. They wandered down to the bank of the Jamuna. And there they found different mineral colors on the rocks there. And Krishna took his finger and he began to paint on Radharani's limbs and decorate Radharani with beautiful paintings. Then Radharani, she went to touch those the same minerals, and suddenly Krishna became a little child, crying in fear of the thunder and lightning. And Radharani began to wail, "Oh Shyam Sundar, oh Prananath, where have you gone? Please don't show me this illusion. Oh Shyam, where have you gone?" And suddenly a voice from the sky as deep as thunder, "Hey Radhe, steady yourself. In due course of time, all your desires will be satisfied. Now the rain is coming, you please take this child quickly to his home." So Radharani steadied herself. She took that little child to her breast and she ran through the forest to Gokul. When she got to Nanda Maharaj's palace, the king of the clouds said, "I couldn't see what happened inside the palace, but there was a chutki bird sitting in the Mother Yasoda's window. From him I heard what happened." That suddenly Mother Yasoda saw her whole palace was bathed with a golden luster coming from the door. And she saw the source of that golden luster was a beautiful Vandevi. She bowed before that Devi. "Oh Devi, oh energy of Lord Vishnu, pranam." So, "Oh Devi, the thunder and lightning was coming to frighten your child. And Nanda Baba wanted to collect all the cows. So he sent me here with this child." And Mother Yasoda received that child from Radharani's arms and just held him close to her breast. And she's just feeling he's so soft like butter. And Radharani bowed, exited the door, and very mystically she again became a little child in her room in Bravo. Mother Yasoda fed Krishna and put him to bed, and he, just singing wonderful lullabies for her Lala. Hearing this story, all the clouds began to throw lightning bolts like anything. There's no way you could count the lightning bolts. There was so much thunder. Hearing the thunder, the peacocks also began to cry, "Ew, ew, ew." And both the mothers in two different parts of Braj became frightened at what will happen to their children's sleep. So Mother Yasoda ran into Krishna Chandra's room, and she bent over his crib with her heavy breasts hanging down, and she saw Lala was sleeping very sweetly with a beautiful smile playing on his lips. And Mother Kirtiyata in Raval, she ran to Radharani's room and she saw Radharani sleeping with a beautiful smile. The two mothers in two different parts of Braj saw their children were sleeping very sweetly as they dreamed of their fantasy wedding underneath this tree where we're sitting here today. So this is this very beautiful place, Bhandirvan. Now there's a little shrine underneath the temple. The Lord Brahma is there performing yajna, and Radha and Krishna are there getting married. Very beautiful place. So we'll put our voice to rest here. We again invite you on my page also. You'll see the beautiful video that was made by Arjun. He worked very, very hard despite all the other duties he has, day and night, very professionally done. Or you can go to dandavas.com, it's the featured video today, and try to help Vrindavan Temple. We're zero income, we have no income whatsoever since lockdown began. So please help us out to serve the Brishbasis, and please help us to serve Krishna and Balaram. How many people are here today?
102.
102, very auspicious. All right, so we thank you very much. We'll meet here again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.